Can you even see me back here?
Yeah, wait, like.
Can you see me back here? All right, holy crap. Today we're gonna do a little pollination video. Got a couple plants here that have some inflows that are ready to be receptive. I don't know if they're all gonna work, but we're gonna try it out. Yeah, so we can go one by one and walk it through. Let's start over here. I wanna break your camera and your gimbal. I don't have names for these, but I should start referring to them as something. You know, it could be like Roger, but like, so this queen has pollinated this queen previously. This was the mother, and then this was the pollen donor. This right here is queen dad. I don't know what to call it. It needs a name. I don't have a name for it because I think names are kind of silly. I mean, names are fine. Name your plants, do what you want, but I just don't know if it's for me. It's got an inflow that started pushing the little stamens, so it's got a little bit of pollen. It's not fully developed yet. It's probably gonna be dropping pollen for the next about week and a half, but today's a great day to shoot a video, so we got some of the other plants that are ready to be pollinated out, and we're gonna brush them. Everything's gonna get hit with this pollen. So next to it, we've got this crystallinum hybrid. So it sold to me as a crystallinum crossed with the warocqueanum. I got it as a seedling, so I think it definitely was a seed plant, but it's unclear if it's actually got warocqueanum parentage. The previous seller is a trusted seller, I trust them, but they weren't able to produce pictures of the parents or the berries or anything like that, so it's questionable. The plant itself looks a lot like Crystal Hope or some of the other crystallinum sports or hybrids with unknown lineage. We'll see. If it keeps getting a lot bigger, then I'll say, yeah, it's definitely got some warocqueanum in it, because I haven't really seen any of the crystal sports get big. And if it starts to elongate or the lobes get bigger, but at this point I'm leaning towards it's probably not a warocqueanum. And then next to it is the mother queen. These two were crossed last winter, early February, I believe is when I pollinated it, and it took exactly 2 months for the berries to develop and ripen. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit it again with the daddy pollen, because the seedlings are great, they're super healthy, they're growing for everyone. And then right here, we've got good old pallidiflorum. I've had this one since February 2020. It's kind of been underpotted for a while, and a couple months ago I repotted it and it's just started going crazy. Right now it's got 2 inflorescence that are receptive and 2 more that are still developing. I've tried to hit this with warocqueanum pollen before, but I'm not sure if the Pluto Floor was ready for it. I don't think this one will work out. There's a chance it might, so it's worth doing it. I've got so many of these pallidiflorum inflows that are ready, so I can afford to use one with just the warocqueanum pollen. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite Anthuriums. I'm not gonna say they're underrated, because anyone who sees it says it's beautiful, but they're great. They're super easygoing. I've got one in my living room that grows happily. It doesn't seem starved for humidity. I've seen other people grow them in ambient humidity. I think they just need good light, good soil mix, and to be properly fed, and you've got a houseplant. Yeah, it'd be a total dream if the pallidiflorum and the warrock crossed, but again, I'm certain they're from different sections, so there's likely no overlap, but why not? Got a close-up shot of the inflorescence from the pollen donor. You can see the little white specks. Those are all little stamens. So when I first got my first inflorescence, when I saw these stamens, I actually thought they were pollen. And then I would try to brush it off and nothing would come off. And then I would break the stamens off thinking I had collected pollen, but no, those are stamens. The pollen's like a super, super fine powder. that looks like pollen actually. The first couple inflows usually don't do anything. Some of them, the first two, one of them might produce pollen, one of them might go receptive, but like rarely is one ready to go. I don't even let the first inflorescence grow out. I cut them off once they pop up because if they do grow, they're gonna be small. And if they're small, like it's possible that the berries could develop poorly and the seeds might not have all the energy they need to produce a healthy plant. So I cut it and I forget about it. Do what you want, but from experience, the first two don't really do anything. So it's usually better to just cut them so it doesn't waste energy from the plant. So this is a close-up of the Pollinating inflow. So you can see the little drops of what looks like dew. They call this stigmatic fluid. This means this plant is ready for some pollen. I don't know the specifics. It's like the evolutionary mechanism or anything. But this is when you want to hit your inflows with pollen. Another thing on this pollen, or on the dad, is it's still developing. It's got another full week, but we're gonna hit it now. So I like to do everything, as close to natural as possible. So I'll get the inflows right up against each other. I'm not gonna let them touch because I plan on hitting, using the pollen from this dude to hit some other ones. Yep, so I'll take a little paintbrush and I'll just give it a little brush. Hopefully the camera's picking up the pollen flying off. I'm just gonna direct that around the inflow. Ooh, there's a lot of pollen on there. So I brushed some pollen onto the brush as well as sprinkled it on. And I'll take the brush and then just spread it around a little bit. One more time because I'm greedy. One last brush. Yeah, and if you don't see pollen coming off, there's probably not any there, and it may just be a bunk inflow. Try again next time if it doesn't happen. And this is a cross I think could take. I know warocks will pollinate crystallinums, but I don't know about this specific hybrid. We'll wait and see. In a couple weeks, if the inflow doesn't die off, it should be fine. So what'll happen is in the next week and a half, is the male flowers will start forming on the inflow and it'll produce pollen. And then after that, it will slowly start to change colors. Different species do different things. Some of them turn green, some of them turn yellow. But the big thing is that the inflow doesn't start to die off. And that's how you know it works. And then depending on the species, it could take anywhere from, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months, all the way up to around a year, or maybe even more. I know Anthuriums take forever. So yeah, we'll hit the next one. All right, next up is Pluto Floor. Yeah, the Pluto Floor is hidden back here. I swear it's here. I don't know the specifics of what section of Anthurium it's in, but I'm pretty positive these are not related. I don't really expect this to work. Let's try it anyways. So same thing as before. I'm gonna come over here. Again, like the pollen will fall down, so I get it right above it so that when I dust it, when I hit it, the pollen flies off onto the inflow / onto the brush. And some people like to save pollen, freeze it, and that works. But it's probably best to do this. So now I'm gonna take my brush that has pollen on it and just, rub it on. There's not too much to see here because the pollen is so fine you can't even see it. And that is that. So an important thing is I'm gonna mark it. I'm gonna put a little tag on it that will say Warrock so that I know if it takes what it is, because the second this goes back in my container, I'm gonna lose track of it. No matter how much I think I won't, I will. All right, now the grand finale. What's cool about these that people don't really talk too much about is the smell. So they're super strong. It's got like a chocolatey, little bit of musky baking spice. It's like some sweetness to it, and it'll fill the room, and it borderlines, right in between good and bad smelling. It's definitely way closer to the good side, but like I could definitely see how this would not be a good smell to a lot of people. We're gonna go ahead and try it, even though this one feels like we've taken off most of the pollen. And sometime next week I'll do it separately, and there will be plenty of pollen on here to get this girl going. Yeah, so just from brushing the inflow from before, the brush will actually pick up a lot of the pollen. So there's some inside the brush. So just, same thing. Don't think it matters which way you brush. I think it's fine if I hit it now and then hit it again next week. It's not gonna make a difference. In my experience, this is receptive for about a week and a half. I may have hit it after 2 weeks the first time it was successful. And I didn't actually think it was gonna work because it looked like it had been receptive for so long. I did it just in case, and 2 months later I had seeds. Both of these are the same age. I got them at the same time. February 2020, the same as the Pluto Floor. The cool thing is a lot of these, they all look different. This one right here is a little bit narrower. Leaves are a little bit darker. So I'm pretty sure they're not the same clone. These are likely from seed. So the offspring should have some genetic variability. These don't really start displaying characteristics until they're about 1 foot long, I would say. Everything before that is very, very similar. It's huge. Who doesn't want more baby queens?
Just like me when you get here.
I don't know if this is gonna work, but whew. If it did, could you imagine?